Sorry about that. This is Lady Rachael, your girl of Singles with a Testimony, and I'm here with two of my beautiful sister queens. I'm going to bring them on, and we're talking about a hot topic, a sensitive topic, a topic that a lot of people tend to ignore or really just don't want to address, and that is toxic relationships. Why do we gravitate to them? Why have they become the norm? And as women, what is it about that relationship, that man that they appear to have to offer, that we feel that we have to I guess you could say downplay ourselves, or we feel because of our past, or we feel because of our status, or maybe even our education, even down to us having children, that we only can take whatever is given to us, that we are not worthy of God's best. Yes, I may have 6 kids and they may all have different daddies, but so what? Why does that make me believe that I'm not worthy of God's best, that I'm not worthy to have a man who loves the Lord, who loves me completely? So we're not gonna, and I'm not gonna belabor the time. I'm gonna go ahead and bring on these beautiful ladies. They're gonna introduce themselves, and then guess what, y'all? We're gonna get into the topic of trapped in love and her heart, because we know God's love doesn't trap us. It may enslave us, but that's a good kind. But we don't want to be trapped in love, because to be trapped means you can't move, you can't express, and you can't just be yourself. So again, I'm going to go ahead and bring these ladies on. And so you can, for those who will go back and watch the YouTube video, you will be able to see these beautiful sister queens. So whoever wants to go ahead, introduce yourself, unmute your mic, and introduce yourself to the people.
You can go ahead, Sister Carolyn.
Okay. My name is Carolyn. I'm a school teacher here in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm a mother of 5 sons. I divorced about 7 years ago, I think it is now. I really identified with Lady Rachael when she talked about in the introduction that you're not allowed to be yourself, or you can't be yourself within the relationship. So I was really drawn to this topic because I had just had a friend. We were talking, and we were talking about how far we've come since we've left our marriages. And so it really resonated with me.
Okay. All righty. And Sister Yvette.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yvette. I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am in sales here. I work for City Barbecue. If anybody wants to Google that, there's not one in Texas, but it's pretty good for Ohio. I'm with the sister, same thing. The questions that you sent, the video that you sent, the conversation that we had, this is something that I know far too well. And I'm ready to talk about it.
Okay. All righty. So you guys hear the topic, trapped in love, her heart. And so first of all, what do you ladies what would you like to share before we get into the questions? Maybe about an experience with being trapped in love. Mine was, I was in a domestic relationship for 4 years. I was in an emotionally um, toxic relationship for 8 years. So, childhood trauma, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So what would you guys like to share? Just a little snippet of how you can relate. Ms. Carolyn, you said, of course, you're divorced, but as far
Mhm.
as if it's emotional, physical, or whatnot, toxicity, or being with a narcissist or whatnot, share some of that with us, and then we're going to dive into the questions, everybody.
Well, I was married for 34 years, and I didn't see it when I was in it, but when I came out of it, I was like, oh, that was bad because he gave me something that I needed. You
Mhm.
know, coming from a broken home, my mom and dad divorced when I was 6 months old, and I went to live with an aunt. And when I met him, I had an older son, and I was pregnant by somebody. I had got pregnant again, and I was only like 18 years old, and I hated living at home with my mom.
Mm,
And he was military, and
mm.
so he offered,
There you go.
and he wanted to be a part of my children's life because I've always worked, and he came in and he fulfilled the void of their father not being there. You know, when I gave birth to my second son, he was there. I didn't even know that he had signed his birth certificate. Um, he fulfilled a great void that I was missing in my life, and he was offering all the bells and whistles, and he was very charming. Um, but behind that backstory, it wasn't it wasn't always nice. And then when I would talk to my mom about it, I'd be like, I think I should leave him. And she was like, we all have to suffer something
Mm.
in order to get some of our needs fulfilled. He is and he was a great father to our children, but he was a horrible husband.
Wow. Yeah. All righty. Miss Yvette.
Well, whether it's been physical, emotional,
Mhm.
spiritual,
Mhm.
mental, I've experienced it on so many different levels that, if we talked about all the stories, we could be here forever. But
Mhm.
I just know, even for tonight, that the things we talk about for me, and as sounds like with both of you, is that it's personal. This is a personal fight that we have, not just to help other women, but in the kingdom altogether.
Absolutely.
This is a fight because there's so many of us, like
Mhm.
Sister Carolyn said, when you're in it, you don't see it,
Right.
even though everybody else sees it
Mhm.
and everybody else talking about you and everybody else making fun of the situation. They don't really understand the magnitude of the situation you're in sometimes. I mean, some of these women are getting beat on a daily basis,
Yeah.
every single
Mhm.
day, and we want to talk about the one or two times somebody put their hands on us, when there's somebody who's dealing with this every single day, in and day out, that
Yes.
live in fear.
Yeah.
And so, and the sad part about it is, and that's why we're here, is it's also happening inside the church.
Yeah.
um and we're not, and then, like you said in the beginning, this is something we're not talking about. So I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
And
So,
it's happening more in the church.
oh yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's just kept quiet.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, see, God is so awesome and strategic. I will share this before we get into the questions. When COVID came, see, that exposed a lot of the
Mhm.
hidden things, because it was a pastor that said, when COVID came, he said, I had not dealt with so much domestic abuse within my congregation in my life that I had when COVID hit, because people were there in the same space together.
Mhm.
So stuff started coming up and out like, hey, you were forced to deal and see with it. Where before COVID, you can go to work, go to school, do
Mhm.
whatever, and then come home. But now you're forced to be with this thing. And
Right.
so a lot of people was finding out, I never really did like you. I don't even know why I married you,
Right.
and things like that. I don't even know why. And so it just came out. But you guys, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into it. Okay, so the first question: why do women? And now, before anybody throw any shoes, people out there, we're gonna talk about and ask the brothers too. But since we are women, we can only talk really from a place of what we know. So, why do either one of you ladies believe or think that women get stuck in bad relationships? Miss
Uh,
Yvette, Miss Yvette, and then we'll go
Well,
to Carolyn.
um, well, I wrote down a few things that I
Okay.
thought, and one of them is family. The one
mhm,
biggest reasons why a lot of women get stuck in these bad relationships is because of family. We have this narrative of we have to have a father, we have to have children, and that's the way it should be, but that's not the way, especially in our sinful nature, we are. So usually it's the kids that come first. And sometimes it's a toxic relationship first, then the kids,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
more toxicity after that. But the number one reason I came up with was family.
Mm.
Um, Family. The second one is self-esteem. Your
mhm,
self-esteem is where are you mentally, it's where are you and when I say self-esteem, I don't mean always low self-esteem. I'm also talking about immature self-esteem where you're too
mhm,
young to even understand what's happening to
Yeah.
you.
right,
Yeah.
You don't even have the capacity to understand what high self-esteem looks like. High self-esteem at 14 is definitely different than high self-esteem at 50.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so
yeah,
so family and self-esteem were the two most that I said was the reason why women choose to stay in bad relationships.
Okay. All right. Sister Carolyn.
and I was think when I was thinking about this, he offers he or she offered the person something that they're lacking or missing. You know, it's like that thing. People say, do don't do as I do, do as I say. But a lot of women, they have seen their mothers and they've seen their fathers, and you're trying to run away from one bad situation and you run to another one. And so it's a pattern of behavior. It's familiar to them,
Yeah.
you know. It's something that they understand. And so that's why a lot of women get stuck. It's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the norm for me because I saw my aunt, I saw my mom. So it was like, oh, he just hit me this time.
Right.
He just blackened my eye this one time. And so it was the norm. And it's a pattern, and it's a pattern of behavior also. Okay, he's gonna blacken my eye, but he's also gonna bring me something. He's gonna
Yeah.
bring me a gift home.
Take me somewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's gonna
Buy
do
me
some stuff.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
And so that was one of the answers that was given. It, said that people or women get stuck in unhealthy relationships, not because they're unaware. Because
Mhm.
many times women may say that they didn't know. And a lot of times we don't know, though there are some times that we do know. But like you said, Carolyn, you said because they offered something, sometimes offered something we never had. Sister Yvette
Mhm.
mentioned that, at 14, I mean, it's immature. And then you can be at 50. And unfortunately, women,
Immature.
you can be 50 and the
Mhm.
self-esteem could still be immature
Yeah.
because whenever trauma happened at whatever age and stage, you're a 50-year-old really hearing,
Mhm.
speaking, and moving out of that 14-year-old that
That's
never
right.
got to mature. And
That's right.
so many of us have done it out of fear of being alone.
Hmm.
Because you get to be 50, you get to be, God willing, I'll be 60 in a few weeks. So you're like, hey, I've been doing this here for a minute, Lord. I mean,
Right.
just me. Will I ever find
Right.
somebody? I don't want to be by myself. And as I put in a Facebook post that we laugh and we listen to these songs, but are we really listening to these songs? Like everybody knows that song by Betty Wright. having a piece of man,
Right.
having no man at all. That's a lie from
Mm-hmm.
the pit of hell, baby.
It's a
Yes.
lie.
Yes.
Having a piece of a man. If I can't have the whole man, I'm a little selfish, y'all. I'm sorry. Then that mind going on, brother. Be about your business. Peace me unto you. You're fine and everything, but I don't want that. And then the peace that you miss, God has gotten me to a place. And so just because you find and you smell good, you got some money, you got some education and this and that, but really emotionally you're not trying to connect with me. You only trying to connect with me physically. And so that's not gonna help me. And so now, like you say, or either, I think one of you said, it was you, Miss Yvette, Sister Yvette, about the toxic comes, then the babies. So if the babies
Right.
say, well, this is my baby daddy, I want my babies to know they daddy, so I can't leave, even though he a trip and a half. But I'm doing this for the kids, but all the inside you dying and you suffering, and you really, to be honest, you just don't want to be by yourself. Some really don't want to be alone.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
And then this is one thing we didn't touch on too. Sometimes the men, they threaten the women if
Oh
they
yeah,
leave.
we gonna get on that.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've been there too. I,
Mhm.
I've been there too. I've had my door kicked in, people. I've had my door kicked in, uh, snatched from right in front of my daughter, drugged into the bathroom. I've been drugged out of. I'm up in this 18-wheeler, reached up, drugged me out. I ain't as big as a mosquito, drugged down and things like that, choked out in front of, my sisters, choked out in front. Oh yeah, yeah. So hey, you understand? And so we just want to shed some light that this is not normal. And
Right.
It's not.
hopefully, once we are done, I pray that what the women say, my sisters, what I say, that it causes you to self reflect, not to judge, because we can't do that, because it's all about a
Mhm.
grace of God. We're all still where we are, or we're where we are. But just to encourage you that you can come out of it. But,
Mhm.
however, you have to want to come out.
Right.
Um, and before we move on to this question, does anybody have anything else they want to share? I want to hear y'all go in and just come on with it now, because this singles with a testimony, and so y'all know how it goes down
Uh,
here.
So, and like for me, mine was done behind closed doors,
Yeah.
always, because we had an agreement that we would never argue in front of our kids, or as I got older, and my mom being a single mother and her being who she was, and I used to see her fight back, I began to fight back. And so it shifted from that physical abuse to emotional, and then financial. It did, because my ex-husband, he tried to destroy me. He did. And I was like, you know what? This is not right. And then, like, I know towards the end it was some decisions that was being made,
Mhm.
especially towards the financial part. Like, he would get mad, like he couldn't get anything in his name, and so everything was always in my name. And so mine was really, really financial towards the end. And I found myself, it was like, wait a minute. He came in, I was in school at the time, and he came and picked me up. He said, "Oh, I want this car." I'm like, "I'm not buying a car." And he was like, "Well, I'm buying it for you." And he convinced I think I had one child living here. He had just turned 18 or something. And he had he I when he picked me up, he had already set the stage. And he had my son with me, and I'm like, "Why is he with him?" And all of a sudden we drive up to a car dealership. He had already put my social security number and all that type of information in. And my son was like, "Oh, mom, he's buying it for you. You need it." I was happy in what I was driving. It was paid for. I wasn't worried about it. And I just didn't trust him. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
he manipulated the situation. And come to find out, after he left, I was $80,000 in debt. And it was stuff that I didn't even know was in my name. And so I was like, no. And when we were going through the divorce process, he would not sign the papers. He would not. I would meet him. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm a sign." I go meet him, and now he was living with another woman, taking care of her house. He took all the money at the bank. When I went to the bank to get some money out, it was nothing left. I had nothing, and I was like, "Why would he do this? We've been married 34 years." I've allowed him to, and I won't say allowed him, but he has beaten me. He financially has tore his credit up. He was trying to tear mine up at the time. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But you know what? I realized looking back at it, I had made this man my idol and I wasn't trusting God. And the Lord said, in Deuteronomy, he said, put no idols before me. And I was asking the Lord, why? Why you let this happen? Because we had separated.
Yep.
And I remember clearly he had told me, he said, you're going to let him come back again because you fully have not surrendered to me. He said, you're going to let him come back again and things are going to be worse than what they were before.
Yes, ma'am. If he brings you out and you go back, it definitely can.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to let him come back. And he was like, yes, you are. He said, but this time when he leaves, you will never let him back in. And so, he left. And when he left, and when I tell you, he like tried to destroy me, he tried to destroy me because I didn't see it coming. Everybody else saw it, but I
Yep.
didn't see it coming.
Yvette said everybody sees it but us.
And when he left, I was like, okay, because he was doing things for her that I didn't know about it because I was too big. And I was focusing on school. I was in school. I thought I wanted to be a nurse, but that's not what the plan God had for me. And I was like, why would he do this? Why would you do something to somebody that loved you and stood by you, and no matter how many mistakes you made and how much you cheated, you still did this to me. And when I came out of it, when I got out of it, it was like I had to take ownership of my part.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do.
I was like, I played a role in this situation. I played a role in that. I had to take ownership. And sometimes we as women, we want to be a victim, but we don't want to say that, hey, I
You're
could have
the
made a different decision at this time. I could have made a different decision at that time. And I found, for me, I will say, for me,
mm-hmm.
I played a big role in what I went through because along the way, as the children were getting older, I was seeing little things like he had become very financially irresponsible,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like but I didn't really realize that I was taking care of everything, well, most of everything, because I had a good job. It was always money in the bank. And I just never looked at it. I'm helping my husband. Eventually he's going to grow and he's going to mature out of this. Because we have been together. I was 18 and he was 20 when we married. Eventually he's going to grow up. He's going to mature out of this. But when I met his family and I saw who his dad was, I was like, he's just like his father.
Yeah.
He is truly his father's son.
Yeah. So
And
that's
go ahead.
no. I was just saying, I'm just hearing a lot of what Sis Yvette said, the low the self-esteem, the immature
Hmm.
self-esteem. And so um before we go on to the next question, Sis Yvette, did you want to add something else to that? And then we're going to go
Oh,
into our next question.
no. No, I'm waiting for the next question.
The next question is, come on, y'all. Why do women choose toxic relationships? So we started off the last one with Sister Carolyn. So Sister Yvette, why? Surely it can't be just because he's just that fine. He just smells that.
I mean, it is. It is because he's that fine. It is because he can do some things that we never had done before. And it is. It is because he's that fine. It is because he's somebody that everybody else is looking at. He is a status. He is saying that, look how far I've come. I got this specimen of a man. Yeah, it is because he's that fine. It's because, it's something that you've never had before. As our sister said, he offered something. It is something. If you never, if you're into beards, the one with the beard gonna show up. And if you into athletics, then one athletic gonna show up. I mean, it is because of what they look like. It's same thing for us, like you said, we can't talk about the men's side, but men do the same thing. They're attracted to us, and then they realize that we're ugly, that some of us can be very ugly no matter how pretty we look on the inside. Same thing we find out about men. But so why do women choose toxic relationships? So I'm going to give you what the Lord gave me, and he gave me this acronym for toxic: testing options exhibited in carnality.
That's great.
So what God said to me was, when we get in these relationships, why do we choose them? Is because of our environment. So Sister Carolyn, I'm so glad you brought up that when you were growing up, when you and your husband were together, you decided not to fight in front of the children. Well, we have some people whose parents never fight in front of the children. And then we have kids whose parents fight all the time in front of children. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that, we don't look at both of them are toxic. Yeah. See, because the parents that don't argue in front of their kids don't even show their kids that you can have a disagreement and still be in love with one another.
Yes.
That there's no healthiness. So you go from one extreme to another extreme, right? So when God said to me, we're testing out the options. We're testing what our background is saying. We're testing what our family has taught us. We're testing what other relationships have taught us. And when we're testing these options in these new relationships with these people, and what it was we just exhibited it. It was exhibited in carnality, in our carnal. I'm going to read you something. Romans 8:5 says, Romans 8:5 says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit. Right. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So God showed me this with the cross. And I don't, so just imagine a cross. Let me get 2 pens here. Just imagine this cross. What God showed me was what we do when we're on one extreme to another. It doesn't matter what relationship you're in. If you're in somebody who you never see somebody argue, parents never argue, but you're with somebody now who parents argue all the time. The problem is that these two people on this end, so we got let's say a man, a woman, on these end are trying to connect. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that they can never connect because they're never the same people. Right. What the cross is now is that the grafting, that part that not grafting, the part that connects you. If the man put his left hand here and the woman put her right hand here, in the middle of that is Christ. Mm-hmm. And so when we choose toxic relationships, what we're choosing to say is, I don't want this. Right. I want this. Right. And what I want is my flesh. What I want is this to be satisfied. Absolutely. What I want is what's in the carnal. Absolutely. So if the scripture says spiritually minded is life and peace. So if you're spiritually minded and you are with somebody, regardless of how toxic they can be, and I'm not saying, now mind you, I'm not telling nobody to get whooped up on. I'm not saying that. Right, what I'm saying is that when you're mature enough to be in a relationship, because this is the thing, like you said, at 50, 60, 70, there's some of us that are so immature spiritually, mentally, emotionally. We have no emotional intelligence whatsoever. We don't even know how to handle a discussion. We want to say it's a fight. But when I think of the word fight, I think of fist. I think of something. We're wrestling. We're doing something. So why is it that now as an adult, we can't just have a discussion and a disagreement? No, we use the word we're fighting with each other. So why do women choose toxic relationships? It's because they have no peace.
Mm-hmm.
They have no joy. They have none of these things. They have no Christ. And I'm going to say this because I know it's going to offend some people to say, well, I go to church, I pray, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Well, I'm here to tell you, because I've been in that situation, the peace that I have now, there ain't no way.
Right.
There's no way you coming through my door with any of that. There, you can give me a little bit, and I'm like, wait a minute. And it's not about the money, it's not about the job, it's not about the looks. What you can't give me is you're not spiritually mature, you're not emotionally mature. And those two things I need, because if we have that, we can be financially mature together.
Right.
We can tear down some walls together. But again, if a woman and a man does not keep Christ in between them,
that's right.
She will always choose the flesh. She will always choose that relationship. And Sister Carolyn said exactly what she said. I made this man my idol. God told her, you're going to take him back. And that's what she did, even though she knew, even though you knew everything, all the red, it wasn't even red flags at that time. It was 4th of July. The sky was lighting up.
Right.
But because you didn't keep Christ in the forefront, and he didn't keep Christ in the forefront. That's what people don't understand. I'm gonna say this. That's what's wrong with prophecy. People believe the prophet got it wrong. No, you just got off course.
Right.
Same thing in relationships. No, it wasn't. Yes, God said marry. God said you got the blessing. People can't get off course. And so when we choose toxic relationships, it's because we're choosing our flesh over Christ.
Right.
And so that's what I want to say about that.
And then to add to that, you guys, because I made my little notes, and it's saying that what both of you are saying, where it says research, okay, is showing that if you grow up in that type of an environment, first of all, we have to know that as much as we don't know, that you operate out of your subconscious. We may think we operate out of the conscious, but you operate out of your subconscious. And why am I saying that? Because my birth parents, they fought like cats and dogs, this and that and all of that. And to myself, I was like, oh, I don't like that. I ain't, and this and that. But subconsciously, because I had grew up seeing that was the environment that I
the norm,
and a violent a type of a environment, and it was familiar. Like my brother told me, because I said I remember meeting this guy, and I was like, why does it seem like I've met this guy before? I said, man, I know, and I've never met him before, but I said, something seems so familiar. And my brother said, that's a familiar spirit.
Yes.
That whoredom in him saw the whoredom in you, and they was like, hey. And so you guys got connected, and you was like, man, why do it seem like we've been here before? Because those familiar spirits. So many times unconsciously we choose, but there again, it all goes back to the source, and the source is Christ. Because yes, when we come out of these traumatic experiences, childhood, adulthood, or what have you, the only way that we can have a healthy relationship is first, we must have a relationship with Christ to even tell us and show us what love is. Because a lot of people feel that you don't love me because you don't agree with me. You don't love me because you correcting me. You don't love me because like you said, you feel like you're being attacked. But if we know the word of God, that no, yes, I love you enough to tell you the truth, to tell you that you are in error, because I love you and I don't want to destroy yourself or you to be destroyed. So again, this is to encourage, this is to enlighten, this is just to challenge. And I pray that it offends you in a way that it causes you to say, I want change. No, that change is a process. Healing is ugly. It is painful. However, just like in the natural, at the end, it is so worth it. So we're going to go on to question number 3. Okay. Why do women find it difficult? And I know you guys are probably saying these questions seem like they're repeating themselves. Because many times uh, we learn through repetition, but sometimes
Right.
you have to kind of ask it in a different way from a different light because, that some people hear different, they communicate different, they respond different. So again, this one is, why do women find it difficult to leave? We find it difficult to leave because Carolyn said it. Maybe the person is threatening. Sister Yvette said it. I find it hard to leave because we just had this baby, and I don't want my baby to grow up without a father. So I just deal with his cheating and his lying and his disconnect. As long as my baby has a father, and things of that nature. And I'll sit up here and I'll deal with this because, hey, shoot, I can't take care of these bills by myself, and this man got a good job, and yeah, he a little tripped out, but he paid the bills on time, and things like that. So I guess we just gonna have to make it do what it do, and I'm just gonna have to suffer. And you mentioned
Mm.
something before about suffering, that your mom told you that you had to suffer. Yes, we all have to go through certain things in our relationship, but people, listen to me. Situationships, no. Marriages, that's different. See, I think
Mm-hmm.
more into our situationships until when we get married, we have nothing to give. And that's why
Right.
some marriages don't even last. So we're going to talk about now, why do women find it difficult to leave these toxic relationships? And so whichever lady wants to go first. And I want both of you to kind of answer this.
Sister Carolyn, you go ahead.
Okay. Because it's familiar, like you said, the familiar spirits. It's something that you know. You know, I know you. He knows me. Um, a lot of times it's financial. A lot of times um it's me not believing first in God, not affirming my relationship with Christ Jesus. You know, we we go through so much trauma to where a lot of women don't know who they are without that person. Like, I didn't know who I was without him. That first year was very difficult for me. He didn't like beans in his chili. I didn't like beans in my chili, but I realized I like beans in my chili. Little simple stuff like that. You don't know who
Yeah.
you are. I'm living my life for my husband and my children. I do the things that they like to do. I do the things that he likes to do. Like, I didn't realize that I don't like black walnut ice cream, but I ate it because that's what he liked. That's what I liked. I didn't have like any bright colors in the house because he liked browns, tans. He didn't like red. I love red. I love purples. They don't know who they are as a human being, not just as a woman. They don't know they don't know themselves. They don't know how to be true to who they are because they don't want to deal with themselves when they're alone. So I'll stay with what I know is familiar,
Mhm.
and that way I can use him and I can use the kids as an excuse to stay in the position in what I am, and that's it. And I find that a lot of women are like that. Like, I realized I've never been love. In love.
Yeah.
I loved him, but
Yeah.
I never was in love. When I hear women talking about what being in love feels like, I came to the conclusion I've never really fallen in love with a man before.
And that's so sad.
And I had to deal with that. I had to accept that. And so it was like I had to learn who I was as a woman outside of being a mother
Mhm.
and a wife. And I had to build my relationship up with Christ. And I'm like, that relationship is more important than any relationship that I have. And I was telling somebody, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. That's my foundation. That's who, the word of God is what I live by. And I found that I won't compromise that. And so it took me learning myself. And it was hard. It was hard. It was like, okay, you can't blame somebody for that mistake that you make. That's your mistake. You
Right.
made that decision. You don't have a finger to point at, well, he wanted to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you have to realize that I'm a victim of my own self. I'm my own victim. And at times I have to wrestle more with me than anything.
You
And
heard me.
so, I think women just don't want to face that reality about themselves.
A lot of people don't, but yeah.
I
Okay,
agree.
Yvette.
I agree with everything that was said. We get so caught up in knowing what our husbands like, what our children like. We could do it with our eyes closed. We can go grocery
Mhm.
shopping. I've done it many a times. Spend hundreds of dollars in grocery shopping, and you come home and you don't have nothing to eat, but everybody got their favorite snacks and their
Right,
favorite
right,
foods and
right,
everything, right?
right.
So the question, why do women find it difficult to leave toxic relationships? I don't, even if we take the toxic out,
Mhm.
a lot of it's just being comfortable. You're
That, oh yeah,
comfortable with where you are.
yes,
You
Mhm.
don't have to learn somebody new. Yeah, he has all these issues, or yeah, she has all these issues, but
yes. Come on
and
now.
it's all, and so the word but is what keeps us in these relationships. That
Yes,
Mhm.
but we say all these, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, but he's a good father,
yeah,
but he's a
Right,
good provider, but
right.
he's all this. And what we don't realize is that it says a lot about who we are.
mm-hmm.
So when you don't know who you are and your life is based on your children and your husband and your job, and then after all that's gone, who do you become?
Right.
That's difficult for people. And so a lot of people, we saw it during COVID when people were losing. I lost my spouse. A lot of people lost people that was close to them.
Right.
We
Right.
saw such a devastation that happened with COVID that now and it's the enemy has got us deluded in believing that whoever we have to hold on to them in
Yeah.
the midst of it, no matter what, because one day I could lose you. Isn't that funny? You
Yeah.
want to
Mm.
beat my tail, but then one day you want to talk about how one day you could lose me and you'll be sad if you lose me, but then you got me and you treat me like I'm
Right.
worse than
Right.
a dog. I'm worse
Right.
than a mangy dog on the streets.
Not a
Um,
fancy one.
and so we stay because
Yeah.
we think we have no other options.
That's it right
We
there.
stay, and it's not even about an option of having another man. We don't think we have an option like, where am I going to live? Well, guess what? To get
Mhm.
away, I think somebody told me, I don't know, someone told me years ago, sometimes just go ahead. It's better to have peace than to have stuff.
Hey,
So you go
Right.
ahead and keep
that's the
your
proverb.
apartment, keep your house, keep your car, keep everything that you got, because I got to get something over here, because if I don't, I'm going to end up in jail.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up
Mhm.
in jail because I'm gonna snap.
Mhm.
I'm gonna retaliate. And I mean, how many stories do you hear about women who retaliate and now they're in prison because guess what?
Yeah.
There's nobody to corroborate their story. There's no one to say, because you never called the police. You never told any family member that he was hitting on you.
Right.
So now
Right.
you're in jail knowing for 20 plus years you've been getting beat on, but now you're in jail for killing someone or hurting
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
And so we don't leave toxic relationships or because we don't think we have any options.
Right.
Yeah.
And this ain't 1930s. They got welfare now. This ain't
Right.
1930s. They got shelters now just for mothers and children. They and it may not be. This is the part that really people really need to understand. God promises that we're going to have shelter. We're going to have food, not to be
Yeah.
worried about those things. He
Right.
don't tell us we're going to be in a mansion. He doesn't tell us we're going to be eating filet
There
mignon.
you go.
But
That's
this
all
journey
there.
may take you into a shelter. This journey may
Right.
take you into your car. This journey may take you somewhere that you never thought you could be. Why? Because one, the worst thing of all, and Sister Carolyn said, is because you put somebody above God.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, and that was in
And
the
people, and I want to add this because we're talking about God, we're talking about Jesus, and somebody may be listening saying, I pray, I go to church, I do all the things that people
all
say
here.
to do, but this is still happening to me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say, you're going to have to make some decisions, sister. You're going to
Right.
have to make some decisions because just praying ain't going to cut it.
Mm-mm.
It's not. I'm sorry, y'all. I know we want to say it is, but it's not. You
No.
can't pray. You can't. This is to me, it's wasted words and it's wasted air to say, Lord, do I stand here and keep getting knocked upside my head every single night? And what do you think God? I just don't believe God is telling you
Yeah.
stay right there.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Stay right there until your kids find you dead. Stay right there until your body is dismembered. That 19-year-old girl who just went on a date the other day, just the first date, the man dismembered her and then spread her all over the city.
Yeah.
Right.
The first date,
Yeah.
and we're too concerned about a relationship when we need to be concerned about how do we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Not just the physical part, but the mental part, the spiritual part. So for a sister that's out there saying, I'm doing everything I can do, and that's one of the things I said earlier was that it's a lot of spiritual illness going on because pastors, mothers, first ladies are telling these women to stay.
Yes.
Stay, pray, God gonna get you through it. No, that's just like saying, I have enough faith that I'm not gonna be hit by this car. I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna walk out in the middle of the street. Silliness. God gives you wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom, understanding, wisdom.
Yes.
And that's not wisdom to me. That and I'm not advocating for divorce, but what I am advocating for is safety.
Absolutely.
I'm advocating for safety. I'm
Right.
advocating for them to sit down that deacon that's beating on his wife. I'm advocating to tell that pastor he got to sit down while he beating on his wife, or even the first lady who beating on the pastor. It doesn't matter whether it's the one way or the other. I'm saying the reason why it's so difficult for women to leave is because we don't make it easy for women to leave.
No, we don't. We don't. We really
We talk
don't.
about you. We laugh at you. We don't want to we don't want to open our door and our couch and our home to a broken sister. We want to judge you. We want to talk about you. With child, you know what she did. Well, that was the mistress and she married him. So she deserved whatever she get. No, she does not deserve that. Or is, this situation, girl, which, they've been going through it for years. It's not funny. It's not funny. And we have, and this is the other part. We have normalized in the black families. We have normalized this, that it's because your uncle and your auntie been together for 20 years. They've been shooting each other, stabbing each other, cheating on each other. But guess what? They love each other because when he got sick, she was right there next to him, taking care of him and doing. But babe, that's what she was going to do because she's toxic and he's toxic. And he knew she was going to do that. So we stay because we don't give people options to get out. We make it we normalize this abuse. And because we don't have no options. We feel like there's no options for us to get out. Yeah. And you know what? When I was going through what I was going through, I wish somebody just said, Yvette, how can I help you get out of this?
Yes.
Yeah. But like you said, that a lot of us, the church, the body of Christ, we don't want to talk about certain things. But I do. And I do to the point to where if it ostracizes me, even within the church, so be it. Because of the fact God's main thing is his people are hurting. His people are hurting. And when he says, I'm coming back for a church without spot, wrinkle, or blemish, he don't want to bring us home. You still got this issue with your eyes and with your hands and with your mouth and with your heart. So he wants us to deal with that. And then when you mentioned about it happening in the church, it's some that maybe they don't know where the church, they cussing each other out, and then they pull up in there. That's why women, when I see a man of God and he's doting on his wife and this and that, and I'm like, that's good because she's his other side. Would you wash your face and not brush your teeth? I mean, he's supposed to take care of her. They're connected, but I don't get caught up in that, and it doesn't impress me because I don't know what she went through to get him to that level. I may not be willing to do that.
Right.
And
That's right.
I may not
Right.
to do that. I may not want to do that. So I don't want and wish what other people have. And then you said,
Mm-mm.
Sister Cal, about, and that was what you mentioned. That scripture was in Exodus, and it was a 2010 about having no other gods before me. He's
Mm-hmm.
God. Now get this here, people. He doesn't mind us having, as we say, a boo, or having a good job, a nice house. He don't mind you having none of that.
Mm-mm.
Is when we
He
begin
wants
to
that
allow
for us.
Yeah, he wants that.
exactly, because how we gonna be running with our shoes over and we looking ratty by the head and talking about Jesus is my provider, baby. Well, he need to provide you a perm or something because you looking kind of raggedy. I don't want that
Not a
God. I
perm.
just deal with the one I
Right.
met in the street. So he don't mind you having that. It's just when those things begin to have us and they begin to take the lordship in our lives, that's when he says, okay, now Houston, we have a problem.
Right.
Begin to
Right.
allow that thing to move. But there again, like you said, Sister Yvette, about the arguing the parents. That's why for me, a long time in relationships, because that's how I saw no one really have a healthy disagreement or a debate. Either if they had a debate or they had an argument, it was a fight. Why? Because eventually they was gonna throw bows. There was
Yeah.
nothing that you say something to me and I just let you go on. I'm either put my hands on you and I'm gonna make you sit here and listen to me, or either I'm gonna make you shut up or I'm gonna make you bow down. So when I begin to get into my relationships, as soon as I would have a heated discussion with even a girlfriend, somebody on my job, I said, "Oh, okay, this relationship is over." All
Yeah.
we did was have a disagreement. Why?
Yeah.
Your friend, you know what I'm saying? But we had a disagreement, so automatically, okay, well, let me move on. She don't want to be my friend anymore, baby. I just disagree with you. I didn't
Yeah.
say it. But that's because we don't understand and we don't see, and it's going to take for us to, like you said, it's going to take for us to do some serious self-checking,
Mm-hmm.
inner healing. You guys, y'all don't know how many apostles, prophets, evangelists, preachers, teachers that are still dealing from rejection from when they were a little girl or a little boy, who
Right.
have daddy and mommy issues, who still are dealing with the pains or whatever of molestation. But they get up there every day, slice and dice that word, break it down, and all of that. Slay people when they walk by, all that. But yet and still, they got this person or this 10-year-old that's following them everywhere that,
Right.
and they are preaching and teaching out of that filter of that person, because the gifts and callings, of course, we know we hear are without repentance. But at the same time, everybody needs to go through inner healing, have healing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're saying again, before we get to the last question, is that people of God, those who have brought you out. God brought you out so you can go back and help. I don't know where in the word it says, and I believe Jesus was speaking to Peter, and he mentioned, and I'm gonna paraphrase you guys, about when you are restored, go back and get your brother. Go back,
Right.
brother. I didn't just save you so you can say, "Whew, I'm glad that's over." Girl, you got to get it how you live. This is what you need to do. Yeah, tell me what I need to do, but maybe it may take you to walk me through it. Have anybody ever been in the grocery store and they get in there and they say, you know what, I'm a little lost, and turn around, I'm looking for this and that. And the person not only tells you where they are, they say, 1 minute, I'm gonna take you where you need to find it. They walk with you and they tell you, here it is right here. See which one
Mm-hmm.
do you want, this one or do you want that one? And then they even go further and say, well, if you choose this one, what is it that you're using it for? So that's what Sister Yvette is saying. Instead of talking about that sister, yeah, she might seem a little whatever, but you at one time was stupid and dumb because
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
help her. And if she doesn't want it, she can't stop
That's
you
right. That's
praying
it.
that
Yeah.
someone else comes along.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you just sow the seed, somebody else gonna water, but God gonna
Yes.
increase of a delivered, saved life that can go back and testify of the goodness of God on what was sown into them. So this last question that we're going to talk about, then we're going to open it up a little bit still. Why are we drawn to toxic relationships? You said, why do we choose them? Why can't we leave them? And again, it's repetitious because undoubtedly God is like trying to get us to see what is it in us that keeps us staying with this man that he's cheating. He's had 5 babies, not one, but 5 babies, you know,
and don't take care of none of them.
You hear me? And but yet, like you said, and I'm gonna go real here. Some y'all said money, y'all said looks, y'all said all that, but some of us have stayed with people because you said, man, and I'm gonna say it.
You go on and say it, sis.
Yep.
Digging.
Yeah.
Girl, I ain't never had nobody
Yeah.
Right.
What was that needed to happen?
That move, it was that move, that special move he done. It's that move he done practice on.
Yeah, you be like, what was that? Woo, girl, what was that? What was that? I ain't never had that. I've never had that. And so we will stay sometimes, not all, but some of us will stay because it's that girl. Or
not just stay. And some of us, it's not just about staying. We will be in another relationship. And because of that was so good, we will jump out of that good relationship to go back to that toxic.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. Oh yes, ma'am.
We'll do it. We'll do it in a heartbeat. We'll do it as well. No, I don't want to be with him. I'm over here, but we will step out of our comfort. We will step out of something that's so great and so good. A man that loves us and would do anything for us to go back to that toxic because it's that boo thing. It's my thing. It's what I've always known. I was 14 when I met him, or 12 when I met him, or high school sweethearts, and I got to go back. And I mean, it's the same story. It's the same story, just different people.
Yeah.
Because we're drawn to that. We're drawn to the. You said it earlier. It's the familiar. We're drawn to that. We're drawn. We're just drawn to the familiar. I mean, think about it. When we go to restaurants, what do we order? The familiar.
Mm-hmm.
When we go shopping for clothes, what are the first thing we do? We start grabbing familiar. Like you said, I know I like red and purple, but you kept going to the familiar, which was the tans and all the neutral colors he had. Mm-hmm. I want to go back to number 3 real quick about us staying is because we become them. We don't know who we are. We said we're that, lost. But we become them. So we become so entwined with that person that the reason why it's difficult for us to leave is because we don't even know something wrong with us. Right. Do you know? Right. Let me say this because we don't even. This is the part that blows me away because I've been here. Is
yes, I'm laughing.
We think we setting boundaries. We think, we ain't dealing with that. I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. We think that we have got to this level of peace and of deliverance and of faith and of joy and all this other stuff. And guess what? We ain't went nowhere. We haven't went anywhere at all because. I'm learning this now is that you have to have genuine people around you to tell you that you stink.
Hey, you hear me?
You need somebody around you that don't sugarcoat it for you, that will hurt your feelings, let you hang up on them, and then you can call back a couple days later and y'all can chop it right back up. Because one of the things that we as sisters do not have, Jesus, I don't even know how we got here, but I'm gonna go here. There's no camaraderie with us. There's none. There's none. And I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this because we're all Black women. Is even more so. And I'm biracial, so that I feel like I could really talk about some stuff when it comes to Black and another race. Okay, because I'm biracial. So we come to a place where we, like I said earlier, we don't even want to uplift one another. Yeah. We don't want to encourage one another. So why is it difficult to leave? Because if I leave you, they say we weren't going to make it anyway, and I'm going to prove them wrong. Why I stay? Because my mama say you wasn't nothing, so I'm going to stay to prove her you are something. Right. Why we can't leave? Well, because if I leave, my job can't take care of the rent. My job... We have so many reasons on why we find it difficult to leave, but I think the main reason is we just don't even know that we stink as women.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't even know. We don't even know it's us. We don't even know because this is something.
It's not you. It's me. That has been my new thing. It ain't you. It's me, baby.
It's me. It's me. It's not. I think Sister Carolyn said it right in the beginning. She said, I allowed him to.
Right.
See, some of us don't even realize that we are allowing.
Oh, yeah.
We're allowing all this to happen to us. It's not that, and you know what's so crazy that I've realized in my years of growing up, in my years of just relationships with people, not just men, but just people in general, is that sometimes people don't even know what they're doing to you because they're so used to it.
Because they're so used to you allowing them to do it to them.
Everybody allowing them to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because most of the time, men who beat women, their mama's scared of them.
Yes.
I'm serious. Their mama's scared of them because they was raising hell at 9 years old, beating up teachers in school and doing this and doing that. So what they did was, that's my baby. He just ain't nothing wrong with him. So now he 20 beating on somebody, and you think it's the girl's fault.
Right. And you know, the sad part about it is I see that every day.
Yeah,
I see it every day that I have kids that cuss me out, just cuss me out. And their mama come up there, then their mama come around and cuss me out. And I look at the child, you're going to be, especially me, you're going to be an abuser. You're going to beat somebody one day. And your mama don't have the courage to tell you that you're wrong in what you're doing. And my thing is, the girls that are in my classes, I teach them, you're more than that makeup. You're more than what you think you are. You think the only thing you got to do, I just get through high school. No. Do you not know what your test scores are showing us? You know, I tried to pour into them what wasn't poured into me.
Right.
You don't want a life of regret one day. You don't want to, and it has to start. And the thing is, it has to start at homes. But parents aren't being parents anymore. We're raising a society of more violent children.
And plus, a lot of those parents, children, steal.
Yes.
So you know, a lot of them. So you have parents that are becoming parents, and they're still children.
Yes.
So you know, how can I teach you how to tie your shoes? I just learned how to tie mine.
Right. And you know, and I tell people, we have a society of men and women walking around in adult bodies, but they're still children on the inside. And most of them, they're still the age where that first trauma occurred.
Absolutely.
So true.
Absolutely. A lot of that's where the inner healing comes in. But not too many people want to do that because it forces you to look at you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it forces you because, to be honest, let us just be honest. It's so much easier to say, well, you know, I have trust issues because I really have these issues with men because I've been raped and molested. And while all those things are very true, at the end
Invalid,
of it, it's still a choice. It's still a choice that you can either stay in it, or you can decide to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of saying I'm sick and tired. And my youngest sister said something profound when we were talking, and she said, sometimes you have to, when she said suffer, meaning that as a young unmarried woman, it's tight. I may have to juggle around some things to pay this bill and make this late, as opposed to, well, he gonna come over and want to do the late night creep and he'll pay that light, be on time. She said sometimes you may have to just deal with a light being out, or this something or whatever. Or like you say, maybe I need to go and get me some food stamps or some housing or something for a season, but I have peace. So sometimes you have to suffer, and suffer when Christ is saying that is not meaning so much as suffering in your body or whatever. It's denying your flesh of that thing that it wants. And so you say, man, all I got to do is make a phone call, Brother Man to be over
All of
here
them paid.
making
All the
it
bills paid.
round, baby, and
Right.
do a couple of flips and
Look,
maybe throw in a special,
yeah,
and I
that's
have
why we
everything.
toxic
Yeah,
too.
I
See, we
there you
know.
toxic.
go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
very, very,
Well, we
very
toxic
tight.
too because
Yeah,
we think like that.
Yeah.
That's toxic in
Yes.
itself is the thing.
Absolutely.
And we're and then there's men that are having a podcast about us.
Okay.
right,
You know,
right.
and so it's just going on and
Hmm.
on, and so before we, wrap up and everything and all that, I would just love for you ladies to share some nuggets, share some encouragement, I mean, really from your heart, and not to say this was not from your heart, because I feel them. I feel, like that video that we saw, that what
Right.
within my mind, that this man has bust me all upside the head. He done choked me out. We fighting in the street and all of this. And yeah, I know it's familiar because it's making me sad right now. And it's familiar and it feels good. But what is it that makes me that I keep going back? I mean that he can beat me to I'm unconscious, and I run back like a pig to the mud that you done took out and washed him up, and that pig can't wait for you to put him down so he can run back to that mud.
But there's an exchange of services. He's giving her something that she needs, and he's giving her something that she needs, and she's giving him something that he needs. So it's an exchange of services. That's what it is. They're both fulfilling something within each other. That's why they stay and they go at it so hard like that, because it's just like they're addicted to each other. That's what it is. It's just like somebody that drinks, an alcoholic. When I drink this alcohol, that serotonin is going to get released in my brain and I'm going to feel good. So yeah, he's going to beat me, he's choking me. At the same time, that serotonin is being released in my brain and it
Mhm.
feels good. It may be painful, but it feels good because he's going to make me feel good later on. He's going to be sorry for what he did. And so it's like a drug. I'm
Yeah.
It
addicted
is.
to it. I
Yeah.
can't let this go. I love this feeling. It
Mhm.
hurts while it's occurring, but afterwards I'm going to get that high
Yeah.
in that fix that I need.
Mm.
That's
Look,
why.
you see my glasses. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what she's talking about. Cause them the ones that got all the game, the ones that's really bad for you.
Right. Right.
They got all the moves.
Mhm. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what helped me come out of mine. This lady prayed this prayer over me. And she asked the Lord to heal me from the point of my first, she said, in the name of Jesus, she said, I ask you to take Carolyn back to that moment when that first assault occurred, or those first words that was spoken in her life negatively.
Mm.
And it was like when she prayed that prayer over my life, it was like I was going back in that moment. And in that moment, what was occurring to me that I did not realize, Jesus was there with me. My father was with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that little girl, she asked the Lord to heal that little girl inside of me. And it was like once she prayed that prayer, my life began to change. I began to value who I was as a woman. I began to see what I had to offer. When I looked at the word of God, I looked at myself. I'm like, this is me. They talking about me. The Father is talking about me. And so many people, they sit in church and they read the word and they hear the word, but they never identify with the fact this is for me. The promises in here, if I do this, my father is going to do this for me. And I've been in church all my life. But after she prayed that prayer, I really began to see myself as his child. And I'm like, you're going to take me through some things, but guess what? You're always going to be with me. But I never realized that. No matter how much I would read, I never identified that's me he's talking about. He's talking about this woman.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because the other night I was reading about a virtuous woman. I said, Lord, that's me, but this is not me. You know what I'm saying? Because people say, oh, I'm a virtuous woman. No, I'm not. No, Lord, I do this, but I don't do that. And I do this, but I'm not getting up in no morning cooking no breakfast. You know, I'm not gonna get up in the morning cook him no breakfast and no food and stuff.
Y'all
You
need
know,
that serious.
that's not me. But you know, and that's when the word really start appearing to me. This is you, and this is you now, and this is you back then. You know what I'm saying? I really began to identify and see myself, and a lot of times we don't, and we're not taught in that way to see ourselves
Yeah.
in the church. We're not.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Well,
Yes,
I
indeed.
think that one of the things I want to say to you, Sister Carolyn, is that you don't want to do it right now. But I just see that a husband's coming. And I'm not saying this, I'm not prophesying any of that. I can see that there's still some healing that you're doing. And I'm telling you now that he's coming and you're going to want to get up and make breakfast in the morning because he's going to show you something. It's not because you're doing it out of obligation anymore. You're going to want to do this.
Yeah.
And he's going to appreciate it and he's not going to expect it from you.
Right.
So you said, Lady Rachael, about nuggets or some encouragement. I just want to encourage the sister, like I said earlier, the one that's saying, you know, hey, I'm reading my word, I'm praying, I'm fasting, and nothing is changing, nothing is changing. And I just challenge you to not look at what the person that you're with is doing or what other people are saying. I'm challenging you to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm challenging you to take, while you're fasting and while you're praying and while you're doing all these things, stop jumping from one thing to focus on you.
Yeah.
Because if there ever comes a time that you leave, you need to have that strength, even if it's a little bit of
Mhm.
strength.
Yeah.
You need that little bit of strength just to open that door and walk out. You're gonna need that strength to get in your car or maybe walk down the street. Maybe you ain't got a car, maybe you got to ride the bus or get an Uber or whatever. But you're gonna need that strength to get up and go.
Yes.
And I want to tell you that it's not always going to be like this. I promise you, it's not going to always be like this. And right now it's hard. And you say, well, you know, everybody ain't me, or I got this and I got that. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter how hard it is. It's not always going to be like this,
Nope.
but you have to trust. You have to trust in
Right.
God. And that's the only trust that you can have. Don't trust in me. I don't care if you reach out to Lady Rachael and be like, I want Sister Carolyn's number. I want Sister Yvette's number. I want who. Don't believe in us because we will fail you. We will
Right.
be just like
Hello.
that man, and we have our own toxicity. We have our
Okay.
own toxicity as sisters, as daughters. We have our own toxicity. So don't
Absolutely.
trust what we're saying. I'm saying go to God and trust what He's saying, because I'm telling you, it is not always going to be like this. And that sadness you feel, even suicide that you feel like, where can you go or what can you do? Who's going to take you? Because now you got all these kids with this man. Because guess what? He knocked you up on purpose. He wants you to have all those kids so you don't go nowhere. He locked you in that house and make you afraid to go nowhere because he's doing something. And
Yeah.
again, we're not bashing the men. We're just talking
Right.
about the women's part of it.
Mhm.
So I'm saying to you, find out who you are, sister.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who you are and find some people. And I know it's hard in the church. I know it's hard. But you just gonna have to believe the God in you to find you someone, or ask God to send someone to you
Yes.
to
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
And when God sends them to you, maybe you say something to God, and that person, the only way they know that it's for you, that person is for you, is that they say something that you told God
Yeah.
in
Oh
secret.
yeah. Absolutely.
But there's some
Right.
sister out there to help you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just hoping that that you seek the help that you need, because it's not always, and you don't deserve this. You don't
Mm-mm.
deserve it. I don't care what your mama told you, or what your daddy told you, or
Right.
what some
Okay.
uncle, or what somebody did to you, or it doesn't matter all that anymore. What matters now is if you have children. What matters now is you. Because what you don't understand, and I think all of us didn't understand, is that when our children see what we're going through, we are our children's first role models.
Yep.
So either they're going to be like us, or they're not going to be like us.
Absolutely.
And the sad part is, I would hate for my daughters to be in some of the situations I was in. And
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
hate for my sons to be the aggressor.
Yeah.
I would hate to
Right.
know that my child hit another woman, knowing
Yeah.
what I would,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even imagine something like that.
Absolutely.
But we know, and we've discussed it, there's a lot of women out there that allow their sons to do these
Oh
things. When they
yeah.
get grown, of
Right.
course, you can't control a grown person, but you knew who they was going to be. All of us
Right.
as mothers, I don't care what kind of mother you are. We can all look at all of our children and know what our children are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
Yeah.
encouraging just anybody who, it's not always going to be like this, but get some help.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. And
Don't
that's
be
another
afraid.
myth in the
Black
Yeah.
community, we can say it.
that the Black community or the culture. I'm a kingdom culture. I ain't trying to put nobody down. I love Black people, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm learning, and where I am
Mm-hmm.
now. You say what works for you. I say what works for me. First and foremost, I am a kingdom person. My spiritual dad, Apostle Jerome Nelson, said that we are who we are because God ordained you to be that.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a Black woman, a Black man, because you are me, but that's not really who you are. And
Right.
then for me, you just have to be like, I always think about the woman with the issue of blood. And I'm sharing this with you guys, ladies and men. Sometimes, baby, you got to get so desperate that you say, I don't care who
Yes.
see. I don't care if everybody know my business. I know that if it takes everybody knowing my business so I can be free, guess what? Hey, let them know my business. That woman
Mm-hmm.
Let
had
them
an
know.
issue of
Let
blood
them
for
know.
years.
Let
And
them
she
know.
said, you know what? If I go out here, they subs to kill me because I'm not supposed to even be seen. But you know what? All I know is
Right.
I can't live like this. So if they kill me, hey, at least I won't be suffering anymore. But sometimes it takes that you have
Yeah.
to
Yep.
be so desperate that you say, you know what? I don't even care if they laugh at me. I don't even care because I went through that. I didn't want people to know.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit had begun to tell me, I don't care what they tell you. Trust me, they got something that they have
Right.
to. He said, there is nobody, because when the word says that all have fallen short, all means everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody
Yes.
something that they have dealt with that nobody knows and they don't want anybody to know about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why now I can talk about it. I can even low key, well, I can really laugh about it. And I don't care about sharing my story because if my
Right.
help somebody else know, it is possible.
It
God's
is
word
possible.
is true when he says he's
Mm-hmm.
person. And I'm gonna tell somebody out there, I don't care, baby. I done hooked and crooked for free for money. I done sold drugs, I done used drugs, I done been drunk, I done been with this man, got out of this bed, went over there, did whatever, went to that bed,
Mm-hmm.
that house, but not all of that. And I still can stand on the word of God and say, and yeah, I do expect to have
Mm-hmm.
God that can love me and all of my
That's
wretchedness.
right.
So don't let anyone tell you again because you have
Right.
children that all got different daddies. You don't have to just accept the first man to come along. Oh, because he loves my kids.
Mm-mm.
You don't have to. God said
No.
that you can ask whatever it is that you want in my son's name. And because, hey, if he said it's for you, and he said that I love you so much that you were to die for. So if a man would give his life for you, that means there's nothing that you can ask of him that he will not give to you
That's
or make
right.
for you. So don't
That's right.
believe the lie. which many of us. And so I will say this as we wrap up. I pray that there was something that was said. I pray that there was something that was challenged. And I will even say this to my believers that'll go back and listen to it, to my Bible scholars and all of that right there. People don't care what you know. They want to know how much you care. And
Yeah.
That's it.
gotta
That's
be
it.
like Nehemiah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get all there with y'all, and I'm gonna get roll up my
But
sleeves.
I got the word of God.
If I got to lay down with you
That's
in
it.
that dirt and everything, then I'm gonna lay down with you in that dirt, and I'm gonna let you know that I'm right with you. But what it is, we want to hide behind. Oh, I used to be
That's
a hooker,
right.
but everybody can know the first lady used to be a hooker. Hey, it might be a hooker sitting in your midst, wanting to know: is it hope for me? Is it
Yes.
hope for me to be
It
free
is.
from
Mm-hmm.
boredom?
Yes.
Is it free for me that I used to be a man and I like women and men and cats and dogs? Is it hope for me?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can't be shamed. We can't be
Yeah.
shamed because people are hurting and dying without Christ. And God is going to talk to us, y'all. This is to the
Right.
church. He's going
Yeah.
to talk to
That's
us,
it.
y'all,
He is
about
gonna
not.
talk to
Mm-hmm.
us.
He
That's
gonna
right.
talk to us. See, we gonna
He's
come
gonna,
on in,
yeah,
but
he's
just
gonna
like
come
the
in.
mama say, when you come in the house, oh, before you go sit down, I need to holler at you for a second.
Right. Come here.
Remember
Yeah.
such, and you didn't
Right.
like. Oh no, go to your room. You in, but I just want to let you know that. So let
Yeah.
that not be you. Let that not be me. Let that not be us. And
That's
God has
right.
saved us so that we can go back. We don't save. We just go back and we just give what has been given to us, and that's grace and mercy and forgiveness and compassion and most of our love. So you guys,
Yes.
Can I say one thing?
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead,
want to
go ahead.
say,
No,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to tell any woman who listens to this or any man, I don't care who it is, you're
Right.
lovable. You are
Mm-hmm.
lovable. You deserve it.
Absolutely.
You deserve love. You deserve it to the utmost degree. You deserve the kind of love that God gives us. And if you can't get it, just hold on. It's coming.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
And first of all, learn to receive God's love.
that's
Many
right.
of us
Mm-hmm.
don't know what real love is because we've only known man's love.
Right.
Fleshly love. We just
Right,
know
right.
fleshly
So
love.
Yeah.
once we understand, that's why
Yeah.
us women who are here, we can, yeah, we still got some healing in areas and things of that nature. Though
Right.
for the most part, we can say, hey, like Sister Yvette, oh no, baby, I'm gonna check you
Yeah.
at the door. Wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, what now? Oh no, you can't come up in here. That's why
Right.
you can say that and know that you can get there, but you have to want it. And even though sometimes my spiritual dad said sometimes he was in his ignorance, he didn't even know that he needed it. And
Yeah.
that's where the church, the body of Christ that carries the solution on the inside will pray as that woman prayed for Sister Carol. Take them back, Lord, to that very
Right.
first
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Break that. I bind every word curse that
Mm-hmm.
over them in ignorance or on purpose. I break it off their life. And then let them, as Sister Yvette, see and know that they are lovable. And how do they know? For a God to send the only child that
That's
they
right.
tell you, I bet I wouldn't. Yeah.
Mm.
To send their only
I
child
wouldn't either.
to die.
Mm-mm.
People who
But
ain't gonna
yeah.
even receive him. They
Don't
don't
even
even
Mm-mm.
like
like
him.
you. They don't
Don't
even
even
like
like
you.
him.
They
Don't
don't like you. Why you
Use
even
his
here? We
name
don't
in
like
vain. Yeah, they
you.
don't even care.
use
They
it.
don't
Yeah,
even like
use
him.
it. Yep, yep, yep.
So yeah. So and closing, just want to say this. Even though leaving someone you love can be painful, staying in a terrible, toxic relationship can be more detrimental than
Mm-hmm.
beneficial. We're seeing it every day with our young people that's killing they boyfriend and girlfriend. I will share this. I had a cousin. He was 18. Y'all may have seen it on the news. I shared it. The young man, football player, promising career and this and that. And, his life was taken or allowed to be taken, and things like that. And we got to teach our children how to identify with healthy
Right.
relationships. We have to begin to teach our children. We have to. So, with that being said, you're lovable. God loves you. If don't nobody else tell you, we love you, and you
Yes.
gotta believe it. You gotta believe it. And guess what? You don't have to. You'll know it's love when you don't have to perform for it because
That's
God
right.
on for his love. He just loves you with hair on, hair off, eyelashes on, or none. It don't even matter. He just
That's
loves
right.
you, and you just so beautiful. He said, "Girl, come on in here with that spotty hair, with them lashes off. Come on in here, brother. I know you're a bit rough around the edges, but that's okay. I'm gonna shine you up because I love you, because I created you in my image. So you guys, I thank you for tuning in. I know you're gonna enjoy this, and I pray that you do. Ladies, I thank y'all as always for sharing what you're sharing. Stay tuned, because as always, this will not be your first time that you're gonna be on here, because like I said, Singles with a Testimony is now about healing, restoring, and that's the mission that God has me on with this platform. And until he say stop, we're gonna keep on rolling. So
Amen.
I love you guys. Life and peace and love. We out of here, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon. Love you guys.
Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.